heard me and they decided, look, we have to really work as well. It's not as simple as just jumping in and thinking you can be first in the leaderboard. Seti going down in the feed, Joe also going down. It's getting crazy at Sleepy. As we watch our first place team, Grolls and Clown. This fight moving a bit slower pace than what we've seen in the previous two games. Who can know? Couple of shots left.
Has to just land every single one in a double spray. He's not going to find anything from both players. I don't know, like Zestiny's going to jump all the way towards the top and maybe, but they're trying to get Zach. They are the ones farming more though. Lands, Grolls then being beside him. I think everyone's just confused. We're really looking for what, a perspective of POV or no? Just get all the swaggy inside that truck. It'll be tough for them to land shots back if he's not actually peering out the window, but he decides to just get a new angle with this. This is so cool. There's no way they can actually rail too many shots into that truck because it takes a lot to actually make it explode. He's pushing even more forward for it, actually making so much room for Zestin to find the last chest. And then they get out? I don't know what type of dynamic call this is. This truck is moving so slow. The most awkward, and it looked cool at first, but not as cool disengaged. I like it though. What a creative way to kind of attack your POI.
Yeah, definitely a creative disengage. It's weird because when he initially just sort of hopped out of it to take some shots, I was a bit confused. I was like, bro, I'm assuming you're getting in the shot to get out. Or you're just using it to play with the angles? I'd like to think not, but they eventually do leave. And so we'll see how this game plays out in terms of Grolls and Clown. What they have to do in terms of damage and surge moving forward deeper into the game. As we said, every small engagement, every small interaction has its implications. We might just be watching one of those. Well, Texia and Casteria team we've been following quite a bit. And I'd love to be able to say it's because of their endgame prowess, but it's because of their mid-game madness. They really have just been involved in so many of these fights mid-game, and they just haven't had a lot of them go in their favor just yet.
Who's the next target? Who's going to be rolling in? That's the question. They kind of affected Pink and Anas's game, and that affected everyone's because with them at high ground, it would have been very, very different. We'll start that fly and glide, though. Kind of taking over that Pink Anas mountain and looking for that surge before, you know, the kings of the lobby do themselves.
Back over towards Sleepy, where Vino doesn't have Joe. And I don't think Chapix has Seti by his side, just because I did see Seti go down in the feed a bit earlier. Of course, there's always the potential for the reboot. I don't think that's just happened yet.
Vino's going for it.
Yeah, and Vino's got to be careful because he knows he can be heard. And Chapix is just sort of sitting there. Will Chapix allow him to get him? I think that would probably be a mistake in this case. He wants to keep this at a 1v1. It's probably for his best. But Vino will just keep prying away. And at a certain point, I think he might just be successful. I think he wants to stick it. No, he won't. He will back off.
This is like the weirdest turn-based battle simulator I've ever seen. You know what? On one side is Vino, almost out of like moves to use, out of stamina. Chapix at the top, just like using the same move over and over again. Complete impasse. I don't know what to make of this.
It's funny because even at like a more basic level, like we've all been in these sort of scenarios in Fortnite, right? You're trying to reboot your mate, but the guy you're fighting just won't let you, and you're like, bro, just fight me or let me reboot. Like, pick one. Don't just sit there and stop me from rebooting if you're not gonna fight me. Like, yeah, I'm sure Vino expressing my frustration as well. PKR taking out Kiko.
Okay.
That's a fight we saw today. Marine over Chonkers out of Butter Barn. So it seems like these guys wanted to get involved in the madness that is Chonker Speedway. It didn't quite work out for them, so I don't expect to see them continuing to push that in latter games.
Not expecting to see Benji and Savage in another situation where they kind of lack overall control, but it's going to be against Bad Sniper and DKS, who have delayed this engagement. I think this is the smartest thing they've done day one versus day two. Some of the things they were doing on day one is either taking the engagement instantly, in which case they were basically losing every single time, or just not taking it at all and playing split the entire game. They have changed things now, and this is the second game where I feel like I'm seeing them just side by side, waiting, getting loot first, and then attacking Benji and Savage.
It's interesting. It looks like Benji and Savage have been the ones to push towards the south side of Tilted. Maybe they want a bit of revenge, right? It was last game that BKS and Bad Sniper took them out. It wasn't in Tilted, but just on the outside. And maybe that impulsiveness. Ooh. To the lobby again. 2v2, which most people probably would expect Benji and Savage to win under normal circumstances. But in any case, this is far from normal circumstances, right? The pressure is on. Not many more games left to determine your fate. And T-Chips and Artskill, a duo who many of us had big hope for in these games. They've not quite been able to piece it together, landing at 7 Outpost 2. Swag and Pablo have mainly been the duo that have had success from this side of the map. But it's in this game where they have an opportunity to turn the tide. Swag is fending for himself. He's low on shields. And eventually, he'll run out of builds as well. And when he does, that's what will happen. Artskill will deliver the finishing blows.
I feel like that's the only way you can really stop the Flames boys, right? This is one of the duos that just stay alive inside the endgame as teammates. And if you have that type of quality, it happens all the way. You know, you just get to stay and have as much placement as possible. That's what's really been well for them. T-Chips actually laying a trap down. They had pre-edits on, like, I think 2 different walls there. And then Swag taking apart as an individual. And man, they're going to be frustrated off of that one. You can see the emotion right after the elimination there. It's tough because that's the only way you can really break them down. You have to try to lay this trap and take them off early.
And they've done such a great job of it beforehand, but to be honest, there's 12 games. You can't be perfect for all 12, right? And I think that will be sort of the message there. I know their coach, Mick, will be watching, and so maybe he'll be able to pass the message on to them to keep their cool. They've done so well up to this point, and they shouldn't allow that to derail them.
Talking about not being perfect, Rolls, Clown, same exact type of story. Yes, they're a lot of the times inside the top 5, but their games are just seesaws over and over again. I mentioned this analogy a little bit yesterday, but that was more for, you know, people's surge plans overall. For the placements we see with this team, it's either top 5 or double digits way back in the way. 47th or 5th. 47th or 5th, Levin. That's been their last 4 when it comes to Grolls and Clown. And, you know, they've kind of broken that pattern, it seems like, in this game overall when I'm looking in. So far, you know, not going down at the start of the game.
Would you call it inconsistency? Because
consistent inconsistency?
That's what I was getting at, right? I don't know if I can call it inconsistency just because they consistently do that.
You want me to say it, don't you?
I do.
They're walking right now. They're basically a walking paradox for the moment, right? Mobile, moving around in ways that shouldn't be possible. Back and forth. And somehow they're in first. The actual embodiment of that statement.
When they write the sacred book of Shio Asia, I can't wait for the verse about walking paradoxes. Wow. Beautiful.
It's a close one. It's a close one. Toos, Utrick, one of the most challenging players to fight. One of the most challenging duos to cast over without messing up their names. They'll be rolling through. Just Toos though, he's gonna try to find Putrick and get him back up. Janice and Vortex. Also kind of not in the best spot. I don't know how they approach this game. You've mentioned them a little bit, talked a little bit, on, you know, how they roll when it comes to mid and end game, but it just seems like they're struggling 24/7.
I think the big thing with these guys is just being able to put themselves in better positions deeper into the games. I don't really worry about them. I think they have a very consistent early to mid game, which is what's made them one of the better teams in this lobby. Oh dear. Two's trying to get a reboot at Greasy. and will be stopped in his tracks by none other than Vidil. But on Vortex and Janice, I genuinely think that these guys have gone under the radar. It's the reason why yesterday I said that they are a dark horse team. And I actually think they are one of the more complete teams in EU, right? We've seen them win on height, we've seen them win on low, and they're comfortable in both. Vortex have nothing but positive things to say about this young lad. Honestly, so talented, right? I don't know how Germany keeps producing all of these like crazy, berserk, firepower, talented. It's just crazy. They have way too many, right? Someone needs to check out what's in the war in Germany. I don't know.
Honestly, just rolling in and making sure everything's good right now. Benji and Savage are in a little bit of trouble. It's an all-in on both sides, and they are going to go down again. That's, I believe, to Coop and Fraction, who are always somehow in the business and going down, but it seems like once out of every 5 games, they affect the boards in a major way.
Yeah, right? They if they're gonna go down, they're gonna drag someone down with them, and this time, unfortunately, it's Benji and Savage. Cammy and Teak almost being dragged down as well themselves. They've got to be careful. These guys will probably start to rise up in the standings as they find a bit of consistency. Another example of a team where, when you're analyzing them, they never really have many negatives to say.
Not at all. And right now, Zestin's going to be in position to be low on Surge overall. 12 teams need to go down before it stops. Them and Hookah usually have everything locked down and fine off of spawn because they have 2 full eliminated bodies worth of damage, but they disengaged this time, so their entire story changes. 50 below, we see Vino and Joe actually flying away. They'll get rattled on a little bit, have to sacrifice a launch pad for being in this position. That's because they've been stumbling their way through mid-game. Nothing's really been organized. They're going to lose a very important ingredient for their endgame rotations. Zestin and Hookah will try to use it as well, but you know, once they hit this pad, Joe and Vino, along with the rest of the lobby, will be looking to beam them up. There's first place right now, Hendit and Queasy. Looks like they might have got a few picks. Oh, we saw Rolls and Clown fooling around. And Zestin is going to be on their walls, desperate, but this might just be a free elimination overall for Queasy. He just lands that one shot. I think they understand exactly what's going down. They have 5 seconds actually to get this shot, and they don't, and someone else picks them up.
And now,
no. That right there is going to be possibly a tough situation for Hendit and Queasy as well. I was slightly surprised in that instance and moment because I felt like Zestin might have attracted 3 different duos' attentions to Queasy and Hend's spot. I just saw a triple spray start to happen and wood walls limit, so that's why I was surprised.
Well, hopefully they won't have to worry about that as the zone starts to move, and they will have to follow. There is always a potential to be held when you start to move in. And you can see Teak and Cammy looking to force one duo away just so they can use their pad. I like that, pressuring them into rotating for you as they follow in, but they got to make sure they keep their distance. They're going to land here on the brick, which is nice. They can refarm it, get the material count up because they are struggling right now. Some would call this shambles. They need to get their mat count up if they want to have any chance of really going deep in this game.
And the tough spot about this is that it's not the Sanctuary, it's not the Joneses where they have a little bit more brick available. In terms of Cover Cavern on all these mountains, everything is so far apart when it comes to farming. There are no bases you can really hide under. It's literally just natural mountains. Plus, some of these trees are just the big ones where if you chop them a little bit, that log falls down and it's impossible to farm without chasing after it. You can't really do that in an FNCS lobby.
You can see Ryzen and Phoenix on the right of your screen. This was a team that many people said, look, day 2 didn't have the greatest of success day 1. Are they going to start getting a bit more aggressive day 2? And considering they're dealing with Surge and they're trying to out-heal it, I think the question, or the answer, sorry, probably is no. But when will that penny drop? When will they realize that they really do have to try to take the game by the scruff of their neck if they want to start rising in the standings, which they are very capable of doing as they've shown throughout the qualifiers?
I think every team's kind of in that position just for this lobby, specifically for the zone. No one really in the next safe spot. Just 2 duos who barely crept their way in, with everyone now on rotational duty. I'm not sure exactly what happened to Kemi's box there either. He's completely deleted as he starts to build it. It's a big tree that falls in his way. They're already down bad on mats. Not have that extra box, that's going to hurt that duo a lot on the top side of your screen. We're going towards that cavern as well, so Tayson and Thomas will just stay inside for the moment and make sure everything looks hunky-dory before moving out. I think Cammy and Teak might have missed their window though here, Levin. Everyone was moving. They were too. That log in the way makes them slow down a bit, and now they're not safe to move. It'll cost them mats.
The problem is that there's nowhere really to refarm in the zone right now, so if they want to get themselves back in this game, they're going to have to do what they did here, right? Get an elimination of some sort, but trying to set that up will be very, very difficult. Let's see what was going on in the zone. The reason why they were so late to rotate out of tilted Marine was the fawn in their side, and so he has inadvertently made their game very, very difficult. They won't just have to climb the covert mountain, they have to climb the mountain in the standings as well, because they still got a ways to go. Tayson gone from looking like he was in a pretty comfortable position next to Thomas to just 33 HP.
Have a little bit of friction inside this cavern right now, but it's going to be fine overall. They have everything locked down for the moment. I'm just concerned on their departure flight when they actually have to leave. How do the skies look? Because right now it just seems absolutely stormy. And speaking of which, him and Kiriachi right now, they actually picked up a few eliminations of the feed themselves. They're looking good to be, you know, based up right now inside somewhere in the circle and zone. Kaizen finds a few, and Kinzel as well is having a few eliminations. Cammy finally down to Kaizen actually, and Resguard and Scram actually get splintered apart. They're already bad on Surge. Look at the bottom left of your screen right now. They went through a few shields, almost 2 inventory slots worth of, and they're both still getting sprayed. Scram loses his entire blue bar, trying to protect Refsguard as he heals, and now they'll invest even more materials in their spot to try to base up. But as I pay attention to that mini-map, they actually do get a little bit of luck on their side, a little bit of a chance to breathe. Meanwhile, no Reason to deal. They're getting just dropped inside their box. 76 below, they're bad on Surge, but Reason has an angle to just completely start to spray. Now he's slightly above, but he's lost his teammates, and he's stuck in the river in the depths, swimming with the fishes.
We know their plan for Surge is to get in, right? But if getting in doesn't work out, there's not many options for you to actually get out, and on that journey, the deal will be taken down. Reason now left as a solo as a result of it. And he is just barely above now, but will he be able to pull off the same level of clutch as one of his German compatriots in Janis from last game? We've seen Reason do some crazy clutches in the past in different modes and different FNCS competitions. And maybe this might be our classic Reason clutch moment, but he's got a ways to go. Scram and Refsguard have their ways to go, but they covered that distance relatively quickly with the gauntlets. And now they can set themselves up to maybe try find a refresh of some sort.
Has to be an all-in for them. No bluffs in this situation. They can't really go toe-to-toe with a team over and over. Have no hard mats whatsoever, only wood. That means as they move, they will be very vulnerable to shots on all walls. Meanwhile, looking at the state of the game, Noah Riley active right now, taking out Wafflar, a man who likes to move around freely, somewhere towards mid and other times just jetting towards height. Looks like they might have some control. Scram, though, caught sleeping on the wall, does not actually have protection. No, it's pre-edits in the way that aren't letting him build. He goes for a few shots right back, but it's Floki and Clement that jump in the box and take him down.
Yeah, and that's the complete opposite from what they needed. Refsguard will be left to solo clutch, and we're heading to another endgame, Shio, where we got a lobby full of duos, but so many of these top duos will be forced to play as solos. And if you can say as a duo as Clown and Groves will look to do and have done so well, this could be a game where they amass so many points and just really start to gain a lead, which is something that nobody's really been able to do in the FNCS so far. And if it is the most inexperienced players, it feels like, in the lobby that are able to gain that lead, it really will be a crazy story.
That feels like all the kings are butting heads. Meanwhile, the newcomers to the castle start to fly and swing on their own terms. Clown and Groves will go a little bit more low groundy. A few misedits on the right side. I'm paying attention to them right now because they're basically in first. They kind of dictate who gets to have the lead for the moment. Vortex and Castry, though, if you pay attention to the left side of your screen, do have a little bit of control in the entire lobby. They're up high on this mountain as Blueback flies by them as well. Best guard starts to swing. Clown is kind of attached to the same builds. He's inside the zone, actually making sure he is building the pathway for Grolls to follow. That being said, Bill's on the right side, barely even theirs. Grolls not ahead of him. They start to be in the same box. Shouldn't be even allowed for them to be here in this position, not taking much damage. It's a harpoon play. A nice grab of the floors of the duo above, but he's not going to find much for the moment right now. They're just going to completely break through into that tarp. This is crazy. They don't have that many mats, so they have to basically go for this big push and the refresh. One player escapes from the left side. There's one isolated towards the right. Clown now moving backwards in his builds. We'll tune in with that in just a little bit of a second. That's Huddy. He's fighting for the moment.
Yeah, they had to commit so much into that, right? And so moving forward in this game, the all-in play will have to come out at some point. But Carson will take to just sort of waltz their way up on high. There hasn't really been anybody to really contest him up until now, and Carson will do a good job of getting control. But for how much longer can they hold it? They've got the web shooters, they've got a decent amount of builds, but just below them is Queasy and Hen. We know how cerebral they are. And there, Grolls doesn't have Clown anymore. And so just as a solo, what can he do here as a zone? Continues to just push along this ravine. Can he hit one of these shots, get something to keep him in the game? The 3 builds that he has aren't going to be worth much, and he knows that. And so the med missile come out, try to heal up, at least give himself a HP advantage, but it's not looking too good for him.
Hen and Queasy still alive. Queasy taking a lot of damage, though. Hen's going straight for the high ground by himself. Big shot on the T-chips. That'll quiet him down. Grolls, though, is still here, making the line that Hen and Queasy have to hit be that much further. 220 plus points, and they're still going for the clutch. Bat Sniper also alive, 3rd place overall. He hits a nasty shot onto Floki. Full refresh there. Grolls is still putting pressure down on any body that he sees. This is just crazy from him. Doesn't have a harpoon to hit those mats anymore. He's still alive with 1 HP. Finally down. 229 points is what it is there basically to hit a 4-point differential for just Hen as Queasy is gone. He does have high ground for the moment, but I see Thomas, I see Tayson. They're diving in boxes right now. As soon as they realize this is a solo on height, they can just completely switch frequencies and go for that higher spot on the lobby.
Yeah, they had all the pads in the world, but they aren't going to be on height. They are sitting down on low, but they are perfectly fine. Oh dear, Bad Sniper taken out by Hen. He's only a solo on height, but he can hack it. But for how long? Because Tayson and Thomas have taken it. It's moved up the hill, and Hen went down. The Freezy was the one to take him out, but Tayson and Thomas sitting primed and positioned to win it all. There's nothing anybody can do. They were the first to climb the hill, and they will be the kings of it.
That is what you like to see. One of the cavern zones, and it's the people that land there that control the destiny of the POI that win that game. Tayson and Thomas are on the board. They're all...
We're wrapping things up very, very shortly. They need to hold on to this position, but a brilliant game from them.
The thing I like the most about Tayson and Thomas here and just the entire endgame, very top heavy in terms of who was hitting the elims, who was actually moving out and about and placed inside that top 10, that top 15, right? So when it comes towards those leaderboards, it'll be a pretty big switch. How far do the game 9 winners climb though? That is the big question. Just an amazing game overall inside the snow, inside the ice, no sand this time. So I'm wondering, is the desk freezing? Did we see some nice chill plays? Zeke, what you got for us?
Shy Wager, you know there is 0 chill when Boop and I are right. That's right. Boop, we're doing it.
Yes,
we're rising on the coattails of Thomas HD. That's right. Tayson's here with us too. We got ourselves a win, boys. We did it.
It's always good to be correct, especially when you beat resub at the same time. Just a perfect day for me.
We'll see when the leaderboards flesh out, because they're going up against Queasy and Hen there in the last moments. I'll have you know.
Okay.
It's true. And, you know, once again, we're just seeing this battle for high ground, right? No one is just, like, happy to let it go by. We saw it change over 3 times in that last little bit of the moving zone there, starting with Castry and Vortexia, going over to Hen, then ending with Thomas HD and Tayson. Now, they did get these low eliminations, and this is actually something you talked about yesterday, Boop, was that even if they do find themselves a win, we're not going to see some crazy, like, double-digit elim, but they're still coming through, and now this means they're going to jump up from top 13 into possibly top 5.
Yeah, I mean, winning a game is good enough regardless, right? You just want to keep on buffing out those points. And there's actually an interesting statistic coming out I saw on Twitter for like Kinch Analytics. Now with his victory royale, Thomas HD ties Anas for the most victory royales in a finals at 8. So, you know, those guys sort of going up there. You know, Denmark, you know, making Denmark proud, sorry. And, you know, it's pretty impressive so far from them.
Yeah, and I think one of the interesting points about this is the fact that this is basically the exact same game we saw yesterday, but with Pink and Anas still in it, right? This is one of the victory royales that they had. They were on height at 5th zone. Flip that, because Pink and Anas went down early, it was the team that took their place in the drop spot. Vortexia and Castry up on high ground at that point. And it's like, you know, you see the quality of a high ground team by the way that it's executed there. Vortexia and Castry weren't able to maintain that all the way through, giving openings for guys like Thomas and Tayson to obviously pick up the victory royale. Whereas if Pink and Anas were still in that lobby, who were first going into this, you know, that could have been a completely different shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And even seeing like the top one team, right? Clown, they're rolling around, just managing to stay alive. I don't know how Clown and Grolls are doing this, right? Even in those situations where one of them is left alive, they are still just taking every single point they can, right? And that's like a mark of a strong duo, a consistent duo. And right now, Boop, they have eyes set on first place.
Yeah.
Right? It is these small micro advantages they're taking that could mean that they actually walk away winners.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much potential things going wrong for them. Like, who can contest them? You know, they landed on a bush in one of these games and, you know, came out with, like, they ran away with a truck. You know, they did so well here. And this is what I love about duos, is because solo clutch potential is just so easy. Or not easy, but, you know, it is just there. And, you know, if you have a good and confident player like mentality, his spirits are high, you know, anything can happen, and that's what I just love about duos. It's so exciting that way.
Absolutely. Look, I want to see what the leaderboards look like, though, because we've seen the fact that I may have said Pink and Anas were in first. I meant first yesterday coming into it, because obviously Grolls and Cloud were in first coming into that.
Okay, I like it. Let's take a look at the standings. We'll talk through this. This is now the halfway mark, okay? Just think about this. After the next 3 games, we will decide the overall winner. And Queasy are holding on, though, right now.
You know, you're saying,
I'm sorry.
Jason Thomas HD, they win it so much better. But when you look at the leaderboards, Hen and Queasy are in first place at this moment. Let's go. I know Mum's going to be happy about that. She's predicted them.
I mean, they're close by, Thomas and Tayson. They're so close by, so don't put them out yet. You never know. You never know.
It's true, you know,
man.
Grolls and Clown doing such a good job, though. I'm with you. You know, we just hyped them up a little bit there. A scuffed game off spawn, still managing to make the most of it. Basically, if they go down off spawn, it's a 0-point game, obviously. But even if they get off with nothing, like we said this time, they're still able to make a good game out of it. And that is something that there's barely any teams who can say that about their own gameplay.
I'm just blown away. You know, a duo coming into the first FNCS finals, this stage in the competition, and they're hanging with the very best, right? And they won't let go. That's the crazy thing as well, is like, whatever happens, they're just like, no. We're going to make sure we are as close as possible. As we flip onto the second page, here they are, Pink and Anas there with 179 points. And I mean, you know, Boop, with 3 games, anything still can happen, right? We could watch any number of these duels fall immediately. And that has been kind of like a big factor that plays into why we're seeing them in the end game. Some duos, they just do fall early, right? And then the shoop inning happens. But if it doesn't happen, man, we're going to continue to see this lead build.
Yeah, unfortunately, when you have 6 zones pulled to the west side, that gives everyone so much ammo to VOD of you exactly where you are, right? You know exactly that Pink and Anas are going to be on that hill near Covert Canyon. Let's all, Covert Cavern, sorry. Let's just all avoid that draw spot because we don't want to get tagged up by them, you know? And that's a big issue for them because now we can see everyone yesterday VOD viewed, they checked it out, they realized, hey, they're over there every single time. And you saw them this game, they were eliminated by Storm Surge. So maybe they got to change things up again because they're a little bit predictable.
100%. And one of the things that I don't think was so predictable was the fact that DKS and Bad Sniper have been dominating so far in Tilted Towers. You know, we were talking off screen there, but we've not really seen much of Kinzel and Deceptos in terms of like those end games. I'm just scrolling through the leaderboard to make sure I'm not waffling. Correct. Yeah, they're in 21st so far. Benji and Savage today, not really seen them too much either. And it seems like, you know, Benji and Savage obviously upset about getting contested the majority of their FNCSs, but the teams now who are contesting them, like DKS and Bad Sniper, are doing well in the leaderboards.
Yeah, you got to make the most of the situation, right?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, dude, they got bodied off spawn, right? Like, and it's just happening, right? Like, and it's okay, it happens, right? These are the 50-50s we talk about. Sometimes it's gonna go one way and sometimes it's gonna go another, but these are high caliber duos, right? If they know this is gonna happen, just take a step back. Just be like, look, I don't want to fight this. Like, I want to make it to endgame. Let's just take a different loot path. Let's loot our drop spot and then just bail, right? Like, we're going to see Benji and Savage come online very, very soon, right? Because they evolve over the course of a competition.
I hope so.
And I'm excited to see it. We hope so. We hope so. 57 seconds here on the timer. So we're going to get back on over with Levin, 2K, and Shy Wager for the next game.
Thanks so much, Zeke. You know, I paid a little bit of attention in English class 11, right? I learned one thing, which is you can't spell duos, right? The word duos without hen and queasy. Would you agree with that fact?
You know what? When I, you know, look at it in my head and I try pieces together, I think that does make a lot of sense. Yeah.
You got to mirror it, right?
Yeah,
You got to translate and then retranslate, right?
Yeah.
It makes sense. We're talking to each other behind the scenes. We don't know how it's happened, right? They're not the most, you know, in terms of flashy duo in terms of both days, but they're here and they're in first.
I think they've just consistently been able to make it deep into games, which is something that, to be fair, you can't say the same for a lot of the other top competitors in this lobby, right? A lot of them have sort of had games where they are off a bit. And even when Queasy and Hen make it to even if it's like 11th, 10th, they're able to pick up a couple eliminations along the way. And it's enough to put them into first. And we'll see if they can do that once again as we head into another game of the FNCS Finals.
All right. Double digits for the games. We're at number 10. Big teams.
Yeah, we're headed. Point of interest over the past 2 days. And I'd like to formally apologize to DKS and Bad Sniper because, as many other people coming into Tilted Towers, I think most people thought these guys would be the biggest losers out of this POI, right? Benji and Savage have done really well out of here so far this season. Kinzo and the Siptos have just been clean and efficient more times than not. And I think most people thought DKS and Bad Sniper, they don't necessarily always do well in FNCS finals, whether that be trios or other modes. Yeah, they've been the best duo out of Tilted, so props to them. Clown though, again we tune into this fight. This time though, it's a bit quicker than last. Clown will hit the crucial pickaxe shots and just in time for the rest as well.
That's just really funny. My bad. Having a knock player just close the doors behind them. Try not to get a little bit too much faster. Funny to watch, but now Clown's actually stuck inside the room. And oh no, he actually did get the revive at the last time. Hookah, low HP on both sides. He can land 2 big shots, but barely even has any match. The more time he gives Clown and grows, the worse it goes for him. And yeah, there's minis involved. This is going to be bad. Ammunition though, low overall. And as soon as I say that, he finds a super crate of ammo. So Clown is now back in business. They have a medkit popping as well. I was going to say for Hen and Queasy, one of the things that needs to happen is maybe Hookah, Zeston rolling in and interrupting the game of Grols and Clown, but that is not happening. They're basically getting 3 to 6 free points off spawn. They have a leg up, it seems like, on the entire competition every game because of the way this engagement is going. And if that just keeps happening, they have to grab first at some point.
Yeah. I thought Hookah for a moment had the chance to come in and do it, but he missed his window of opportunity. Clown and Grols did well. They created a bit more space. They opened up the back wall, made an extra box to work with. And from that point onwards, he knew it just wasn't a fight worth taking with both of them up. And so he will dip out and they will have a game. But we saw from both sides that when the fight didn't completely break down and one team definitively won, it led to both teams having some issues with Surge deeper down, right? Hookah and Zestin in particular ended up going down to Hen and Queasy, right? And so almost like they're feeding them in that sense where, you know, it benefits those guys instead of Growl. I call it Growl Clown, sorry. But now we tune back into Tilted where this fight is breaking out and we'll see if Bad Sniper and DKS can come out on top.
They're doing this specifically not just because they're contested, but because it's also very easy Surge. I think Benji and Savage had issues with it in previous games. Bad Sniper and DKS running a gauntlet around one of the players. That's Mr. Savage inside the box going down first. You never really see that happening. Usually maybe it's Benji that oversteps in the duo, and usually they're the ones to land that first shot and get a knock, but it's not going to be possible. Now Benji on the back foot inside a car. He's going to have that license, going to have that speed. He's out of there as fast as possible. DKS not too happy about it. Neither is Bad Sniper. They're rolling in, dealing a little bit of damage. Not going to be enough to really secure Benji Fishy today. he will be able to go out and maybe just play the game, come back, get the card. It's a 5-minute timer. He has a lot to work with. Meanwhile, Pink and Nas also making sure their game plan is alive for now.
Yeah, I'm super impressed. I ain't really got much to give in terms of, you know, what to say there. Like, I'm super impressed by DKS and Bad Sniper's ability. It really seems like that win that they got yesterday has just sort of been a huge sort of ego and confidence boost that is just sort of pushing them and dragging them through. They've done really well out of Tilted. Pink and Nas now in covert. Typically they, you know, sort of like to lurk just outside and around, maybe even on top of the mountain. But this time they were caught inside, but will quickly retreat to where they're a bit more comfortable, just outside the POI.
I think what Pink and Nas don't want is another, you know, brawl with Castry and Vortexia. They understand that they're on top of that mountain. It's one of the reads, one of the adjustments maybe a lot of the people in the area are making. Push this team. They might be slightly unconfident. They're just going for long-range beams. If we just, you know, try to get as aggressive as possible on them, it might actually work out in our favor. So Pink and Nas also adjusting. They can watch their own VODs too and find new game plans. Heading Queasy really want to stick with these guys these game, or at least in this game specifically, to see how they handle really being in the lead now after that leaderboard change, and how they approach this game. Because right now it feels like they're running under the radar for every single team and the broadcast as well in the way they're in first place.
You can see from the info at the top there, very telling of the dynamic that we know exists, right? Queasy is the mastermind and Hen is the firepower, getting so many of the eliminations for this duo, and rightfully so. Someone who maybe doesn't even get the credit he even deserves, right? There was a point in time where people acknowledged him as arguably the best player in the region, maybe the best solo player at the least. Doesn't necessarily get those same shouts anymore, but still is on that level and will always go huge when it matters the most. This duo, they both need to go huge. We saw last game they ran into some surge issues. They decided to do what they...
That's exact. Cloud and Grow is very similar for them too. I feel like they're just always need a bit more from their position. It's going to be all good. When it comes to Tayson and Thomas specifically as well, I mean, you're trying to gamble on someone that can win any fight there, you know.
Enough this season or not. But nevertheless, they have had that and it's paid significantly for them. But again, like we said yesterday, the job isn't finished. And even with a victory royale, they're still going to need to put in a bit more work if they want to catch up to Queasy and Hen and Clown and Grows.
I think this is the moment in the competition where everyone starts to formulate their plan B and really tries to fix the mistakes they've had in previous games in a very organized way. You'll notice only really one team has gone down on the map. This happened basically once before in EU, I think at the start of the competition. Makes it a very hard game, makes search that much harder overall. Try to grab onto. Kaizen and Yaisen, people who like to just go all in as fast as possible, also being very methodical inside this fight. Up against what looks like DX and Wallflower, Karma and Bubak possibly there. The third party at any moment. And that's, I like that kind of change overall. To take things a little bit slower because, you know, Game 11, Game 12, the last two of the day, that's where desperation kicks into effect, Levin. That's where you have people doing crazy things to try to get back or just try to get up in the competition.
Yeah, and it's not been too great for Kaizen and Yaisen. They were one of the last teams to qualify through to the finals, semi-final day 3. But they haven't quite been able to hit that same level of form in these games thus far. And they're running into Waffler and Diox, who sitting in 14th place, haven't actually been too bad. They've had their moments for sure.
It's been good so far. Tayson and Thomas still inside, farming all things up. Talk about Kiriashi Stormrat as well, just a little bit. 5th place overall. They're slightly behind. Just need one good game to roll in with. And you talk about off-spawn win ratios, just because Tayson and Thomas, I feel like, are very good at tracking who's around them at any point in the game. It could be a surprise duel coming in. They have an adaptation. It could be someone they're just fighting right off spawn and know exactly where to go immediately to handle it and be in the best power spots.
Yeah, that elimination's nice for them. in terms of the implications on Surge. And for them moving forward in this game, you can see they're always going to have really great loot, a great amount of shields, max mats, and pads. And that buff alone is just, it's so strong, honestly. There'll be so many teams in this lobby that will wish they could have that level of loot. And I know Boop will be crying inside that I'm mentioning how good their loot is.
Trying to go for that mini curse. Deox Waffler, have you found, using your 11 navigations of the duo's souls, right? Your analyzation, have you found what they actually do? Or are they still the for fun duo?
I can't tell you what the recipe for success will be for these guys beyond just
have a car end game.
Oh yeah, have a car end game for sure is definitely one. But I think a lot of the time, right, we know from Diox going back to last year in trios that like there's always that potential to pop off in end game, right? On mid and low layers, crazy aim, very mechanical player, and so that alone always will mean that he has a good shot. But it's about that journey to being able to get deep in the game, right? Can he sort that bit out? They've had their struggles in these games in terms of getting to those points consistently. Again, another team that didn't quite qualify through, you know, with ease. Took them a while, semi-finals as well.
It's all good for them currently.
We say that, but Waffler went down in the feed, so maybe not.
Not all good for them currently. Deox did go down a little bit earlier. Lincoln default still, I feel like one of the most interesting stories of the day. I could not predict that a spot that would have 4 people contesting at some points would process and then spit out a duo that can just stay in top 10 by default and sometimes be in the top 3 as well. It's just insane. And Link is still online going for shots as default went down. Wants to make sure he makes the most out of this game. 308 above Surge, so not, you know, getting away with the worst part of the deal in the trade. Getting your duo down though, unfortunate this time. Might be able to sneak into Greasy to maybe get that card back up, but I already see a few players walking around the entire map, picking up houses, spots, grass, trees, rocks, whatever they can find to make their base. Greasy should be baited soon and taken over. Phoenix down to Letchi in the feed as well. Zandy majorly active and Awesome Pink are on the hunt. They realize 84 below Surge. Not the best place to be, not many amenities inside this side of living, but it's all good. Pink finds a few to maybe get less stress. Now just one above though. Man, 91, I haven't seen this player count number in a long time at this point in the game. Third zone. Long time at this point in the game. Third zone almost locking in, and 21 players have to go down.
Yeah, this is gonna be absolutely insane. Like, we're gonna have like 7 minutes worth of replays to even see everything that goes down. They're below, they're gonna be forced to get into a bit of a fight here. Scram and Rest Guard on the right hand side of your screen as well, in a very similar position.
Awesome Pickett falling down the board so many times. They can't afford to lose this fight at all for the moment. Really chasing down this final player. But the lower they go on this mountain, the more eyes start to pry on them all the way from above. Pink cannot land the shot. He is down. Scram takes down Belusi as well. Some of these old lobby leaders are just not.
Those guys weren't in as much of a hurry, right? Because they were able to get that elimination early on Mirza. We talked about how that would eventually pay off well for them, and it did right there. They're able to get a couple more. Scram and Escard, though, they went for a couple pre-edit plays, and things seemed to work out. They were able to get a bit of damage. Not necessarily any concrete eliminations out of that one, but the damage is enough to keep them afloat. Vortex and Janice, though, again, this is why I rate them so highly. I just never really see them in trouble. They're so good at getting their surge dealt with, and now they're going to take a bit of a controlled box fight. They're going to feel very comfortable in this situation, and against Letchi and Twilliam, who've had their fair share of struggles, this could be a defining moment in their game. This could be the game where they finally wake up. We talk about how they're constantly sleeping giants. They'll hit a couple shots here. Janice will hit some. Vortex will chip in 2. And Letchi and Twilliam will be taken out. And again, they won game 1. They've been a bit quiet the past couple games. Will this be the one where they start to get loud again?
Need to have 2 hit singles in a day. They keep just dropping one banger plus a mediocre album. They really need to start to level up, and this has to be that side B we all love to watch right now. Karma and Bubak, they started all of the carnage off. First elimination on that zone. Thomas, HD, and Tayson, they were the ones that took down Anas, and it looked just so good. Look at Thomas. Look at the confidence. Stride back and forth. That's what we like to see.
Brings a smile to my face. Seen him in his element there. Hope to see that for many more years to come. Clown and Grolski chilling, positioned in zone now. The vehicle was able to just get them in here. This isn't a bad position as well. They're relatively elevated, which means they have some lines of sight on some of their other teams. You can see Clown taking some shots towards Teak, who isn't quite in yet. That's one of the benefits of just sitting in a high elevation, right? You have more view. DKS, the only view he has is the one on Bad Sniper because he gets taken out, and Bad Sniper, all he can see is enemies in front of him in his pathway to zone. Deceptus and Kinzel will not let him go easily. Again, another example of two teams from Tilted interacting. Nowhere near Tilted though. These guys are bound to each other.
Literal elastic bands around the ankles of every player that lands over at Tilted Towers. And it snaps back. It hurts hard. Only one duo really ends up walking out past the mid game. This time it'll be Kilzel and Deceptus to see exactly what they can do. There is a Psycho Clown in this box right now, and everyone is scared. They do not want to be a part of this surprise party. Roll's already down, and this is exactly also what Hen and Queasy need. This duo on your screen to get erased before that fifth zone comes in. 43 seconds, Clown has to survive. Guaranteed he'll find possibly a little more placement the longer he stays alive in all these boxes. But once again, 800 mats. He's gonna have to just expend all of them to stay away from the hunt of the duo above.
Yeah, and I'm surprised at how they're even in this kind of a position, right? They had nearly max materials, it seemed. And so even if they were, you know, in a bit of a pickle, I'd expect them to sort of commit their mats to guarantee their safety as a duo to stay alive. But Groves will go down. Clown now as a solo, and even if he isn't initially taken out, for him to solo clutch will be very difficult, but he has to, right? The longer he stays in the game, the better it is for his chances in the FNCS, because if he goes down early, it just allows Queasy and Hen to start to build up even more of a lead, tarnishing all the hard work they put in so far.
Absolutely tarnished, and right now Clown is just maidenless for the moment. Only just has a car, no duo to be by his side. 110 above surge, but I would imagine the entire map is like this. Random builds all around, boxes built up because it was a 30-person surge. So many duos split apart, but look at Clown, Honey down. This is nuts. No duo should be allowed to just have a free elim like that. He has the track. Ing just online 24/7, and that just looks so good from him. He's gonna go straight towards Swifty as well. Look at the coolness of that slide. He gets the shield down. This man is in a 1v2, and he's making it look easy.
What a brilliant understanding of angles, right? He's one of the players who is struggling to make his way into zone. There's a bunch of teams holding him in, but he puts himself in between Swifty and the players in the zone, and that allows him to just get some shots off. They're more worried about the teams holding them in from in front, and so he was able to just sneak in slightly behind. But that's all good and well, because even if he does deal with Swifty, he still has to deal with the players in zone holding him, and that's a much more difficult task. He barely is able to get in, but that next rotation is going to be even more difficult, Shayo. The medkit coming off is all good and well, but this is just going to be such a mountain to climb. Is he going to be burned as well? Oh my goodness, you can't catch a break right now.
The grass is going to be converted into suit right below him. It's all good. I'm looking at who else is alive and what trades are going down between all sides. You have to understand, with that 30-person surge, once it ends, the effect of it doesn't. You might have one duo down. You might have a position you didn't want to be in because you had to push a team, and now you don't know what to do with it. So many people are caught in random crossroads. I think Joe and Vino were one of them. They're still having trades. Liza and Mirza were the ones to try to take them head on. I think they went down, and Joe has to go for a reboot, or at least a revive. And Queasy are on something that shouldn't be built or allowed in this zone. And Queasy is hitting shots that Hen should be hitting right now. Both these teammates are just in sync at the moment in one of the best spots in the game. Look at all the damage they're dealing to, just controlling the lobby. No one even near this amalgamation of a build. Thomas HD, Tayson, very different from their sides though. Third place.
Yeah, this has to be a really good game for Queasy and Hen. They're positioned so well up above. And it just means you have so many options. No matter where the 6th zone will pull towards, they'll be able to get there with a relatively clear pathway, or at least the vision of where that clean pathway is. Tayson and Thomas maybe not necessarily having those same level of options, but they have the launch pads, which obviously will give massive benefit as they move forward in this game. But it's all about the next 10 seconds where that zone pulls. You can see the launch pad being dropped now as well to Tayson. Thomas trusts him completely with the sole direction of where they go. But Cammy has nobody to trust. He has to just trust his own instincts. Gets the wall, couple shots. PKR and Mappy backs against it. And this is actually a great opportunity for Cammy to maybe pick up some elimination. He hasn't got shield, so the siphon will go a long way. But he's got to be careful that he doesn't overextend, and that's nice. The mini. 25 HP. It will help. Doesn't get the elimination on Mappy. Ooh, if only
He
was
didn't have a
bullets. Wow.
Oh. So close. That would have been huge for him too. Being able to navigate on that right side, maybe even take over that tarp Cammy. A game of inches. And right now for the entire server, that's basically what it is. Trying to come back after the disastrous surge we had at the start of this. Cammy obviously just left by himself. A bunch of other people maybe left with less mats, left with less ammo. For one team, the story is different. Second place is basically down. For Hen and Queasy, all they have to do is try to push this lead as far as possible. They're starting high ground on the 5th zone, and they're looking to keep it for the moment. Frack is going to be denied a chance at being a little bit of a retake warrior or a nuisance to everyone. He's going to be chilling. I thought Thomas was going to land on that tarp, but he's not either. He pushes all the way towards the front. Who can stop Hen and Queasy inside this game?
They've done such a great job of diverting all the teams who padded, all the teams who maybe would have looked to height. You look at all them names, so many of them you would usually think would look to try take it, but none of them could. Queasy and Hen hit the crucial shots to just divert them away. Cammy, though, in the back of the zone in the top right, almost giving up there, just standing still.
This is going to be so dangerous, though. Janice, Reason, Hutrick, Toos, and Thomas HD are all the players on second height. Reason and Vidil are not letting them down, and I see Aqua, too, in the mix. Every top team that loves the high ground is getting in position to take it away from Hen and Queasy. You look at the front side of the zone as well. Trulex and Chico are watching for a wave. Janice now is moving up for it. Vortex on the other side is also trying to climb towards the top. Thomas HD and Tayson will move here, but I'm wondering exactly what's happening at height. They might be those third takers that move forward. Here we go. Janice and Vortex do take it for now. Hen and Queasy maybe overindulged in the mats it takes to hold that position, and they have to give it up.
The sleeping giants have arisen. They have high ground, but will they be able to hold it? We know that they have that ability. Still so many titans below them, and so they need to make sure they prioritize who it is that they are spraying, who it is that they apply the pressure to, and that's a perfect start from Vortex. Chico and Trulex shut down.
Reason joins the battle. He's moving forward. Vino also down. Trulex goes away to 2. Refsguard and Scram. They're going to make sure mid-ground is theirs, but it's Karma and Bubak, 2 statues who won't move. We're going to be in the way, so Refsguard actually goes towards a completely different art gallery. The left side is going to be a lot more about nature, a lot more about builds that are not placed down just yet. Hen and Queasy, though, lost inside. Second high ground for now, or second height completely. Toos is still finding a bit more in the feed. Bubak stops Kinzel inside that mid-ground. Meanwhile, Kirachi Stormright also active. This is 5th place that is still in the game and can look to catch up.
And they've done such a great job, right? While all the chaos was going on above, they've really been one of the few teams to actually have some control on low ground. And so now, whilst the Shambles teams look to drop down, they will hold it and they will have opportunities for more limbs.
Loss of control on height. Meanwhile, Thomas AC goes for the chase towards mid. Their box though has been overtaken, so he is going to be having to vacate from home. Doesn't matter. Rid of all the guests. Thomas is insane with the damage. He lands 6 different shots and they all hit hard. The beam is there to follow as well. No ammunition. It doesn't matter. Thomas AC with the moves. Vidil and Reason down. Janice gone as well. He's taken out every single big name and he goes down, but that's 8 fat eliminations under his belt in the feed.
How does Thomas continue to do so many things that just blow my mind? And he has a teammate that can do the same. Tayson will connect to Malibuka. He gets the elimination. That's the HP he needs. And the time as well. The separation to get the minis off. These two have no limits, no bound. They will continue to impress. And they sit in first place.
They looked at the leaderboard and they wanted every single elimination inside that top 10. 4 teams now left, and Tayson is a part of the mix. You have to be careful. Give him an inch, he'll take a victory royale. Moving in, low HP, has a chance to pop a mini. It looks good. Reason's the one who's all the way up top by himself as well. It'll be a solo brawl, and he drops first. Reason's there with the beam. Tayson denied access to the endgame, denied access to the clutch. Reason might take the entire power of him, though, and be able to use that clutch factor for his own. They've gotten 1 win so far today. Can they do it again? Gabix is down here as well. You're actually storming right towards the low ground. All Reason wants is these 2 teams to fight, and then maybe drop down in the heat of the night, maybe take away that VR for free.
Yeah, Kiriachi and Stormy, they need to stay composed. They've done brilliantly to keep control on low ground. It's been a tough battle, and even with all the chances they've had, they still run out of mats. And no, Gabix will get down. Shmeki also will be gone, and Reason now has a chance to sneak his way in. But will Kiriachi and Stormy be on point? Reason dropping down. We've seen him clutch before, but can he do this 2v1? Is it too much of a mountain for him to climb? He connects with another shot there. Reason needs to be careful. He's the only one in the zone, but the time is ticking.
He has a little bit of a delay, lots of space to work with, and a few more mats. Kiriachi down to the zone, 1v1 for Reason right now. Stormy right down to the low ground. He has a lot of control of all those low builds, but Reason has a lot of say in this fight. 1 tree farmed as well. Stormy right with the med mist. They'll be looking good for now, but it's going down to the road. No more nature to be able to work with. Reason drops down onto the concrete, looking for the first shot, but it's denied from builds from Stormy right. It's a 1v1. He's backside in the zone, maybe looking for a chance to take over at height, a different angle. Reason sees it coming, builds here, and now Stormy right has the high ground. It's flipped on sides. He has no builds to work with, and that costs a lot of his HP. Reason with the final shot. Is this real? Not just yet. The spray is there, and it's good. Reason and Verdeel, 2 wins. Kneel to this duo.
How does he continue to do it? No matter the mode, no matter the season, no matter the FNCS, Reason will clutch up as a solo. He does it time and time again. He never disappoints, and they deliver on another victory. They deliver on
first up top on the high ground. Thomas HD ate everyone, and then Reason makes a clutch happen against 2 duos. It should not be allowed, but that's what happens when we reach game 10. That's what happens inside the finals.
Yeah, we talked about how these guys, when they don't have to deal with Surge, great things can happen. They were able to get through the early and mid game, and when given a chance in the end game, like you said, give them an inch, they can take a victory royale, and that's exactly what they did. Desk, oh my goodness, this is starting to get intense. Please, I need a moment. Break it all down for us, boys.
Levin, do you think that I'm not panicking? Do you think that I'm not freaking out right now? Okay, I'm in the back. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. What day is it? What time is it? Where are we? Is this EU? Is this NA East? Is this NA West? I don't even know where we're at anymore. My goodness, I cannot believe the day 2 team of Reason and Vidil. They have come online, Boop. They have taken every experience that has led them here to finals. They have manifested wings, and now beneath those wings rises the current that helps them rise up the standings, baby.
That we are. I think he's managed to disappear. He's so
good
by what we've just seen. He's gone. But in all honesty, look, the best players pop off when it matters. I feel like in that game, we saw every single stereotype you could think about EU. We saw a Thomas HD incredible pop off, a Tayson being the best player, Kiriachi and Stormy right deep in the end game, and an incredible victory royale, of course, from Reason. Looking at the leaderboards right here, that's actually pushed Reason Vidil up into 10th right now. So 199 points for them at this point. Julius and Chico still staying there. Look at the top 3, top 4, top 5. We've got 2 more games remaining, and these are the kind of teams who are consistently getting to every single end game in day number 2.
Sorry about the guys. That game had me petrified. Oh my god.